Hello, welcome to You Don't Need 10. If you've been here before, welcome back. Thank you. If you're new, at some point, I encourage you to go to youdon'tneed10.com to learn just a little bit more about us. I am Katie Wyman. I'm not always very good at putting that on here, but I'm Katie Wyman. I'm a mom who is an advocate for her child. There's just no other way to put it. And in the fall of 2021, I started a blog, and for the last 140, I don't even know how many weeks in a row, there's been a new blog post talking about her struggles, talking about our story as a whole. A couple weeks ago or a few weeks ago, I started these audio recordings so that people can listen to them instead of read them. Some people would rather listen, and that's perfectly fine. I'm kind of getting a kick out of these, so thank you for the suggestion. I'm also going back in time to some of the old blog posts and doing an audio recording for them as well. And that is what today is. Today is an old blog post. It's blog post number 11 from November 23rd of 2021. So remember, that's, almost 2.5 years ago. Paisley had just barely turned 10. And so take that into consideration as well, the time frame that these occurred in. This one is called Shriners. Shriners Children's Hospital in Minneapolis has been great to us. I appreciate everything they have done and believe they are an amazing organization. However, they have a specific process, and there isn't much room to waver from their module. We started with them when Paisley was about 1. We were referred to them at the time by her pediatrician. We were referred to a surgeon there as a starting point, even though I had had a pediatric hand surgeon specialist in New York City already review the case from afar and presented at a forum of colleagues and conclude surgery was probably not an option. However, at Shriners, we had to start somewhere, had to get in the door with a doctor. We showed up that day, waited in the waiting room a minute, taking it all in. So much to see and feel just being in the waiting room. Our name was called, and we were taken back and immediately welcomed with warmth and kindness. The surgeon came into the room and looked at her, looked at us, looked at her chart, and asked what kind of surgery we were wanting for her. We explained that we weren't really looking for a surgery. We were looking for options. We wanted to learn what they did, what they offer, what might help our baby navigate the world. He said, okay, well, I'm a surgeon, but I can refer you on to the prosthetics department. We were then escorted to prosthetics, where we were also welcomed with warmth and kindness. We toured their facility. We saw the process from start to finish and saw many options of what they could do. We were also informed that day that as she grows and begins to do more things, if we ever see her struggling in any way with anything, give them a call, regardless of what it is. And if we have an idea or not, we can brainstorm together and create anything for her. It became a day of information and thinking about the future. We spent a while in that department and were then sent on to the OT department, where they evaluated her and attempted to work with her. But it had been such a big day already. Our little lady was over it. Not interested in working with them. We were sent a referral to look into OT at home. That also never really amounted to anything of value. On our way out of Shriners, both Jet and Paisley were taken down the toy aisle of all the donated toys, and they received all the donated toys they received, and our kids were allowed to pick some out. I remember Paisley picked the most adorable little baby doll with a pink outfit with a ladybug on the baby hat. I have saved that doll and treasure the memory of it. Over the next few years, we never saw Paisley struggle with anything that she wasn't able to navigate and figure out on her own. She is, as you know, strong-willed and independent. She's always been bound and determined to teach herself things. As a baby, maybe 15 months old, I caught her in the high chair with Peaches. She was putting the peach on the end of her right fist with her left hand and then trying to feed herself with her right arm. Amazing. At a young age to be thinking about trying to feed herself. I have many, many times wondered if she was right-handed or left-handed and therefore right-brained or left-brained. I realize she is left-handed by default, but what would have she been had everything aligned? But regardless, things aligned in God's way. A few years later, in 2015, we went to Shriners again. She wasn't struggling with anything specific, but we wanted to stay on their radar and stay a patient of theirs, and thought we'd go see what they had to offer. In addition, she'd been feeling very self-conscious. We met with a few different departments that day and talked about getting Paisley casted for a prosthetic arm, one with a passive hand at the end that looked like a hand but didn't have any function other than cosmetic, that would unscrew at the wrist and you could put different attachments on it. We started with one additional attachment that we called the Lego hand because that's what it reminded us of. This was a 2-appointment process to complete. This arm had no functionality, and with Paisley being the age she was, she had already adapted herself to do what she needed to do. And for the most part, this arm was a hindrance to her. She would wear it in public sometimes for a cosmetic purpose because with a jacket or sleeves on, it covered up her arm, and even at that young age, it was already a thought of hers. She was always known she was different, all on her own, without anyone saying anything or doing anything. However, the mean and rude comments to her started at a very young age. So that was Shriners, our Shriners story in a very small, quick, short story. But Shriners blog post number 11 from November 23rd, 2021. So thank you for listening.